Hello and welcome to CEAZOR Snack Sandwich. Today we're going to take a look at Badger's interest-bearing Bitcoin. Now this has been around for quite some time and I don't know why I've overlooked it and haven't looked at it carefully, but there's quite a bit of options now for the interest-bearing Bitcoin and quite a bit of different places to put this. So I'm going to go through a flow chart with you and kind of show you what are some of the options and what makes up the interest-bearing Bitcoin from Badger. You can read this article here, it kind of explains it, but I found that some of the information in here is a little bit dated or a little bit out, and I did use some of this information to make my flow chart. So if I am a little bit wrong on things, then don't blame me. I'm using this as my main source of reference, but I did go into the Discord and ask for further questions and some clarification on some of the aspects that I'm going to cover today. Now, if you go to the website, you go to Badger on Ethereum. You have to be on Ethereum to mint it. However, you can find interest-bearing Bitcoin on other chains as well. So you go to interest-bearing Bitcoin and you can mint it. You can use any of these tokens to zap into it. And you can always redeem interest-bearing Bitcoin for this BCRV REN BTC. And I'll explain to you what this is in the flowchart and how this is valuable. Okay, so here in the center we have the interest-bearing Bitcoin, okay? Now the interest-bearing Bitcoin is made up of different aspects, different key things back the interest-bearing Bitcoin and make it interest-bearing, okay? So the first one here we have is a Yearn Vault. So basically you can bring your WBTC to Badger, you stick it inside the Badger set, or they call them sets, or maybe we call them vaults. So you stick the BTC in here, and then it sends the BTC over to Yearn. Now Yearn uses the BTC to farm. Now you could also stick BTC into Yearn and be in the same position as this Badger. Basically, this interest-bearing Bitcoin is backed by this Yearn token. Now this Yearn Bitcoin token farms Compound. It farms mushrooms. So it takes the Bitcoin, puts it into Compound and farms, folds it a bunch of times and gets these compounds. Folds it a bunch of times and gets these Aave. Puts it into the mushrooms, farms the mushroom token. So when they put it into the mushroom, they get the mushroom yield, because mushroom is a yield aggregator vault. And then on top of that, they get mushrooms to sell for more Bitcoin. They also put it into Balancer and to get some LPs and stuff like that, some LP trading fees. And then they have several strategies that stick it into different curve pools and farm CRV. And maybe sometimes they will also be farming some convex, okay? So one aspect, one of the tokens that are creating interest for this interest-bearing Bitcoin are the Yearn vaults, okay? The next one is basically you bring REN or WBTC, or you bring REN and WBTC and you put it into the curve pool, you get an LP. Now this LP token you would then stick into the Badger Vault. Now the Badger Vault is going to take that LP and stake it on Convex. Now Convex is going to get the 2.5x boost on the CRV rewards, and it's going to give you Convex as well. Now this set, I believe, will eat these tokens and compound them into more into more of this LP token, this REN BTC and WBTC LP token. And this token here, this set token here, will also back the WBTC. Okay. The next one we have is similar. Instead of just REN BTC and WBTC, is an addition of SBTC, which basically does the same thing, but adds this token of exposure to SBTC, okay, synthetic BTC. And then we have one more which adds also true BTC. So if you hold this interest-bearing Bitcoin, then you have to consider that you are exposed to all of these aspects, but more specifically all of these different kinds of Bitcoin, okay? But not so much these tokens over here, because Yearn's not going to hold them, they're going to harvest them and sell them, okay? So key features, you're going to be exposed to WBTC, REN BTC, SBTC, and True BTC, okay? Now, one more thing that I would like to mention is that you don't have to do this the difficult way. You don't have to make these LPs. You don't have to stake here. You can just instantly zap in with any of these types of Bitcoin right into this interest-bearing Bitcoin. So you can use any of these things to mint this, and it'll zap in for you. It will do all of these other steps for you and get you some interest-bearing Bitcoin. Now, like I said, you can redeem backwards, right? You can redeem backwards for, I will show you later when we get to that stage, okay? So what can you do with this interest-bearing Bitcoin now? You can send it to SushiSwap and you can pair it with WBTC and ibBTC. Now you have to remember this interest-bearing Bitcoin should be going up in value versus Bitcoin. So this peg will, this LP will have a little bit of impermanent loss. However, these prices aren't super uncorrelated. It's not like Bitcoin's going to go up and ibBTC is going to go down. No, it's just the idea is that interest-bearing Bitcoin should go up in price a little bit faster than just WBTC because it has all of these yield sources built inside it. Okay, so you can stick it into the SushiSwap, make an LP with these two tokens, and then put it into the set vault, another vault, right? And when you do this, the set vault is going to automatically harvest the sushi for you because this is an incentivized pool, and convert it to X sushi for you. And occasionally you can come to the set vault and you can claim your X sushi, and X sushi is an interest-bearing token. Next, you can take this interest-bearing Bitcoin and you can stick it into Curve with all of these other Bitcoins. So WBTC, RMBTC, and SBTC into another Curve pool with this token. And then you can stick that token into Convex and then put that Convex into the set vault. Now, what is the set vault going to do? It's going to take the Curve, the CRV that you get, because Convex gets 2.5x boost on Curve. Well, maybe not 2.5, but it gets up to 2.5, right? So it's going to, this set vault is going to harvest the Curve CRV, and it's going to stake it for CVX CRV. And it's going to harvest this CVX and vote lock it for VLC CVX. And then on top of all of this, it's going to give you some Badger tokens. Now this is an interesting one. So sometimes you will come here and you can say, oh, I want to claim my rewards. So you would be able to claim this CVX CRV, and you'll be able to claim this VLCVX, but this VLCVX is locked, right? So you won't actually be able to claim, you have to wait for it to unlock and then you will get CVX. So it's locked for a while because that gives you more yield. But then when you want to claim it, I assume you press a button and then it's going to take some time to unlock. And then you would then be able to pull out some CVX tokens, some Badger tokens, and some CVX CRV tokens, and you can sell all of these things if you wanted to do so. Now, the next options is you can take IB across the Polygon bridge into Polygon, or you could just go to Polygon, and you could go to SushiSwap, and then you could provide liquidity on the same type of pool, but on Polygon SushiSwap, and you will get sushi tokens as reward. Okay. Now, another option is you can take this ibBTC and you can cross the bridge to Arbitrum and stick it into Swapper. Okay, this is basically like a sushi swap, but on Arbitrum. So, but this one here is paired with Ethereum ibBTC. So this one will have a lot more impermanent loss than this one over here, because these are correlated slightly, but not nearly as much as these are correlated. So basically it's going to take the swapper token, it's going the set, because you would put it into the LP, you would take the LP and you would put it into the set, right? And then the set would compound these swapper tokens into more of the LP tokens, and then it will also incentivize you with some Badger on top. Now, finally, if you want to leave, you have some ibBTC and you want to go backwards, you could first trade through this pool, right? You could trade through these pools. You could trade through these pools, right? If you have some ibBTC, or you can redeem it this way. which basically you go and you click it and you would redeem it, and it's going to go give you back this token here, which is a BTC. I think it's in here. Anyhow, so it's going to give you back the one I showed you on the website. I'll show it to you. I'll bring it up on the screen right now. And it's going to give you back this token here. And then you can take that token to Convex and you can redeem it for either BTC, WBTC, or BTC and WBTC, depending on how you feel that you want. Okay, so now if you look at this, you think, wow, this is pretty crazy, right? Like they're definitely, you can't point the finger at Badger and say these guys are not working hard. If you do look at the yields are not like anything that's going to blow your mind, but BTC is hard to get yield on, and these guys are definitely working hard to try to get the most for you that they can for you, and they are definitely integrating a lot of stuff in their project here, in this single token here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.